Coding Dojo is a programming school that turns beginners into developers in only 14 weeks. If you're serious about landing a career in tech but lack the formal education or background, Coding Dojo will get you there in no time. With over 3,000 graduates to date, over 90% of their grads land jobs within 3 months of graduating, often making over $70K per year at tech firms of all sizes, from companies like Google to local startups. To learn more, visit codingdojo.com or click the link in the description below.
Hey, what's up? John Sonmez here from simpleprogrammer.com. Well, this is my first video back in my office since Christmas and New Year's. I don't know when this video will come out, maybe a few weeks after that, but I went on a cruise. You can check out the videos I did while I was on that cruise about a week before Christmas, and then I spent Christmas in Tampa visiting my family. And I wanted to create a video to give you an update, basically, on what's been happening, what's going on since I've gotten back from that cruise, and some lessons that I learned on the whole trip, because I definitely screwed up, right? I'm the first one to admit when I screw up. I've got a whole, I fucked up playlist that you can check out of all the times, because sometimes there's some really good lessons in messing up. And it's interesting, what I've sort of found is that as you think that you've reached a certain level of proficiency or understanding or discipline, you find eventually when you trip up that no, you didn't quite have those bases covered. You didn't quite have that figured out, and there's something else to learn and there's something else to master. So for me, just to give you the lowdown on what happened, I was shooting towards a goal of hitting around 7% body fat for this year, and I pretty much blew that goal. I was really close in December, right before I left to go on this cruise. I probably could have made it with that 2 weeks that I had, but I went on this cruise, and then I was going to go to travel. And the difficulty that I encountered, and I was really doing good. I was really kicking ass. I was doing some extra workouts, and I still am doing extra workouts, by the way. I'm going to go run in a little bit here, do my second 5-mile run of the day. But I was doing good, okay? And then, just like what happens, and this is funny, I found this, at least personally for myself, is that when I am doing the best, and I'm really, really close to hitting a goal, right, that's when I'm most susceptible to falling down and to messing up, and to messing up bad, to really jeopardizing it. It's some kind of self-sabotage. And whenever I think about that, I think about how, when I'm working my way back up, that I could have been using the same effort to get further, to make it further. But that's how life is, and you have to prepare for that. That's one thing that I know from, because I've done videos talking about this, but I didn't actually prepare for myself, right? And sometimes you get too cocky, sometimes you get too confident, sometimes I'm like, oh, I'm such a badass, I'm such a fucking bulldog. You can check out my bulldog video here in the card and description below. But sometimes I get that way, and I let my guard down to some degree. And that's what happened here. So I went on this cruise. I didn't really have a plan. Didn't really have a game plan. I knew there was going to be buffets. I thought I was going to kind of avoid the buffets, stick to my 1 meal a day, keep my running up. I had sort of an outline of a plan, but not a real solid plan for my eating and whatnot. I was planning on lifting. I had that much of a plan. But so what ended up happening? Well, I ended up basically, binge eating at the buffets almost every night at the cruise there, and sort of justifying this. Now, I went to the gym and I lifted weights every single day, and I ran 5 miles every day on the deck of the cruise ship, which was good. That was good, but I definitely did more damage by doing that, and I don't know why. To some degree, sometimes when you just you let loose, you go too far, right? I could have done what I always tell myself, which is damage control, but I didn't do damage control. I was, and some of it, just from depriving yourself for such a long time, right? I'm not trying to make a justification, but I'm just telling you what the psychology was. But, when we understand the psychology, that's when we can counter that psychology. So that was tough. And then also when I went to my parents' house after the cruise, I still was running my 5 miles a day, but again, it's Christmas time. There was a lot of goodies and a lot of food and stuff. And so I pretty much stuck to my 1 meal a day for most of the time there, but like for Christmas I didn't, and I think for Christmas Eve I didn't, but for the most part I did there. So that wasn't too bad. But then I came home, and the first day I did a real stupid mistake, which is one of those ones where you're like, okay, well, tomorrow starts the strictness again, so last night let's go get some Jack in the Box. So I did that, and that was dumb as well. So lesson, what is the lesson? What is to be learned from all this? And like, what I figured out here? So, before I get into that, I mean, I'm on the path of now, retracing some of those steps, and it's really hard. I'm not motivated. I don't feel like I want to do this. It's what happens when you screw up, is that you don't have momentum anymore. And that's what I'm going to try to do, is I'm going to try to rebuild momentum up again. I'm fasting today. I'm going to fast all day today. It's going to suck. I'm about to run another 5 miles today and then do my Muay Thai. And that's going to suck, but it's going to suck for today, and it'll probably suck for tomorrow. It might suck for Thursday, but if I can keep this going and not screw up, by the time 1 week rolls around from now, I'm going to be feeling good, because I'm going to have progress, I'm going to have momentum, and that will carry me forward. Right now, it's not so good, right? As you look behind and you see the path of destruction, and you're like, that's not very fucking motivating, right? So, but I know this from experience, right? And today is better than yesterday, which was better than the day before. And it's easy. I could slip into that slope of depression, and at a cognitive level, right? I know what I need to do, right? I got up this morning at 5:45 to go run 5 miles before the sun was up, and I did not feel like doing that. Like, I was coming up with all kinds of justifications in my head and not wanting to do this, but I forced myself. I said, you know what, John, you have to fucking do this, right? At a cognitive level, I completely blocked out all emotions and just said, this must happen. All right. And the reason why is because I know that that's what it takes to overcome. When you're trying to get out of a pit, it's really, really hard. Some of you are stuck in a pit. You've been stuck in a pit your whole fucking life because you haven't forced yourself, right? You're too much ruled by your emotions. Okay. And when you're ruled by your emotions and how you feel, it doesn't work out. You've got to be able to suppress that down and say, no, I'm going to do what I rationally choose to do, whether I feel like it or not, right? Remember that definition of discipline. Discipline is doing what you're supposed to do, whether you feel like it or not. So, okay, so let's get into like some of the mistakes and some of the learnings here. So the big thing really with this is just that if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Okay, with this cruise, right, coming up to this, I should have planned. I should have known exactly what I was going to do, what the plan was going to be, and what I was going to eat, and how much. And if maybe I was going to have one splurge day, okay, that make that confined. To say exactly what that is. Is it going to be one day? What day is it going to be? Right? How am I going to deal with it? And then what are the other days going to be? Right? Am I going to maybe I'm going to fast all day, but I'm going to let myself have one plate at the buffet, or whatever it is. It doesn't even matter what it is, so long as there's some kind of plan that I've rationally decided on. Okay, maybe it's fasting a full day and then eating one day or something like that. It doesn't even really matter so much as I come up with a plan. Now, I had some plans for the exercise and the routine. In fact, as soon as I got into that mode, I realized that what I needed to do was plan out my exercising, and so I had a plan for that, for lifting every single day, splitting upper body, lower body, so that I could at least, take a benefit from those extra calories. And I had a plan for the running, but I did not have a plan for the eating. And when you don't plan, that's what happens, right? Is you go overboard. Same thing when I went to my parents' house. I could have had a plan. I could have had an exact plan of how I was going to do things and how things were going to go. Same thing even with the business, right? Because I was getting stressed out at some point because I wasn't answering emails and I wasn't getting videos done. I didn't have an exact plan in place, right? If I had a plan in place, I would have been better. When I planned my week out, I execute. I succeed. Right when I plan, I succeed. Even right now, as I'm thinking about this as I'm back, I don't have a solid meal plan in place right now. I mean, obviously, I guess I'm fasting today, but I need to have a solid plan for what am I doing tomorrow, what am I doing Thursday, what am I doing Friday, so that I can stick to the plan. Because once I have the plan, again, the thing that got me to run this morning, right at 5:45, even though I really didn't feel like doing it, the only thing that got me to do it was the fact that that was my plan, and I didn't want to deviate from the plan. I had already planned it out. That's why I set the alarm clock. That's why I got up. That's what my plan is. And so that's the thing that carried me forward. And so again, if you have that plan, then you have a lot more chance of actually executing and doing what you want to do. If you don't have a plan, you're lost, right? As much discipline as I've had throughout my life, as much as I've worked as hard as I could, I didn't have a plan, and it took 1 week for a lot of shit to unravel, right? And that's what happened. So again, not that I have to be strict all the time, but at least if you're going to cheat, if you're going to do something, have a plan for what it is. And I had to learn this lesson again, right? Because I didn't have that lesson learned, apparently, right? I've talked about this, but I haven't, even though I know this at a conscious level, I haven't internalized it enough. And so I'm going to keep, and this is the thing is, I'm going to keep getting beat up by the lessons that I refuse to learn until I learn this. So if I go on a cruise again, I think I'll have a plan. I'll have a better plan. I'll know a little bit more what to expect, but I'll plan for exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. So, and I think I could prevent that disaster. So the other thing, I talk about a lot too, is this idea of not flying off the rails and basically damage control. Again, one of those things that I talk about all the time that I've exercised successfully in the past, but here I sort of just went off the rails. I did the old fuck it thing, right? And this is dangerous, right? Because if I had gone to the buffet at the cruise like 2 nights or whatever, and then stopped, okay, and said, damage control here, let's do some fasting, let's go back to a normal diet, let's not go crazy here, and let's make sure that the rest of the year is good, I would have been fine. I wouldn't have set myself back so far. But I didn't do that. Instead, I did the oh fuck it, well, I might as well eat, I might as well go and do this. And and I don't want to make this a whole obsession about food, but for me, trying to achieve this goal and fitness being a huge part of my life, this is, definitely something that I fucked up on, and I want to analyze, right? Every time I fuck up, right, I want to analyze, I want to figure out what did I do wrong. And so, I would say here that, like I said, failing the plan, that was number 1. Number 2 was not implementing the damage control. At any point, there's what's the Turkish proverb? Is as soon as you figure out you're going the wrong way, turn around. As soon as you're going the wrong way, turn around, right? If you're digging a hole, stop digging, right? As soon as you recognize that you're in a hole, that's the thing is you got to recognize that. And I didn't. I didn't at a cognitive level. I knew this, but I hadn't internalized it to this point. And a lot of lessons in life. Again, we have common sense. We know these things, but until we deeply internalize them, we don't execute on those things. And so the way that you do that is you practice it in the small things. You practice it. How you do anything is how you do everything. Again, if you're going to be undisciplined in planning your time and coming up with a plan for things, in the small things, it's going to carry over in the bigger things. The same thing with damage control. Like you've got to be able to put stops on things and put brakes on things. So, aside from that, I'm trying to think. I think those were the main things that I messed up on was those 2 things. And, I'm hoping now in the future that I'll be able to not do that again, right? Not make those same mistakes, okay? Because I keep on, it's a repetition. I've made those mistakes before, okay? But what am I doing now? Again, I talked about this already, but the key thing right now is to gain momentum. Because when this shit happens to you, and I can tell you because I've been through this many times, and you've seen videos if you've been watching this channel for a while, when this shit happens to you, what you really have to do, and what I have to do at this point, is focus on just saying, give myself a week to gain momentum. Just hit it hard whether you feel like it or not, right? And push it. And I was at the gym yesterday. I really didn't feel like lifting weights, but I forced myself to do it. I forced myself to go through it. Forced myself to run this morning. I'm going to go run now. I actually feel a little bit up for doing it, so that's good. But you got to force yourself in order to get back that momentum. Once I get back the momentum, if in 2 weeks from now, I'm still like, oh man, I really don't feel like doing any of this shit, then we reevaluate the situation, right? It's unlikely to happen, but that's when you reevaluate the situation. You don't do it after a fall, right? After a fall, what you do is you fucking get back up and you fucking pound it hard, okay? Then you can reevaluate the situation, because anytime you have a fall in life, you're in a bad mind state in order to make important decisions in your life. So you don't want to do that. So anyway, it's shit now. It sucks. I'm going to have to, dig. I'm going to have to climb my way, not dig, stop digging, climb my way out of the hole and reset and regain momentum. But I'm gonna do it, and that's that's what it takes. And again, same thing. Even I didn't want to record videos today. I'm like, oh, I just want to sleep. I don't want to do any of this shit. But hey, you know what? I got to get the momentum back. I got to keep going. I got to get some wins under my belt in order to succeed. Otherwise, I'll fall down this pit, and I'll keep on spiraling. There's no end to this pit. This is the thing. It's like you have to realize there's no fucking end to this pit, right? And I've done this before, and I know that you guys have done this before, where you're like, oh, fuck it, and you screw up, and then the next day you're like, well, whatever, I'll just start tomorrow. And then pretty soon you look back and like you've gained 200 pounds or, 100 pounds or whatever, and you have totally fucked up things, or you've totally lost, momentum, and you're so far down that pit, like that spiral just keeps on going. You can get worse and worse and worse and worse. So you got to realize that you're eventually going to have to crawl back up. So you might as well stop right now and crawl back up right fucking now, right? Because there is no end. There's no getting to the bottom, okay? Sometimes you're waiting to get to the bottom. It's not going to happen. All right, that's all I got for you today. If you like this video, if you haven't subscribed already, make sure you click that subscribe button below. Click the bell so you don't miss any videos, and I'll talk to you next time. Take care.